Everybody, welcome to Beginner's LED Grow Light Masterclass today. And my name is Chris Hart. I'm from the Indoor Garden Market Planter. And we are going to talk about what LED grow lights actually mean, what the LED means within the grow light itself, PPFD versus lumens, color spectrum your plants might need in your indoor food garden, what to ignore on Amazon descriptions. If you shop in basically the biggest retailer in the world, you'll find thousands of different varieties of lights out there, but a lot of landmines as well, things you want to watch out for. And we'll have a couple of recommendations of lights to help you if you're just starting with indoor growing. Lights to get you great results and allow you to grow up to 75 pounds of greens, herbs, and fruiting plants in about the same size space as a coffee table. So if you haven't done so already, we've got a free training program. You can sign up right there. Just give it a scan or head to indoorgardenmarket.com, which you see down there. We provide tips, tricks, free video training. We give you access to discounted supplies to get going. And if you happen to be near one of our community growers, for example, the greater Washington, D.C. area or Baltimore, you can come to a live event and learn how to grow for free. We also have seedling bundles that we equip you with so that you can save up to 30 days of growing time when you're just starting off and growing food for yourself. So excited that you're jumping in with us. If you are new to this whole space, join the free training program, or you can go back to the beginning of this playlist on YouTube and learn how to grow. So let's jump straight into it and talk a little bit about why do we need lights for plants at all? Common misconception as people are growing is that they can just take a plant, tomato plant, stick it in front of a window, even in the summertime, and they're just going to grow. Not true. You need a lot of light, a lot of energy comes into the plant from that light, and you need many hours, typically at least 16 hours. And so that would be direct sunlight on a plant, for example, a tomato. So light equals food for plants. That light is going to equal food, which equals growth. They don't eat the soil first. Actually, they're going to use the light to power their roots down and to produce all different kinds of energy. So tonight is really about making grow lights make sense. So we're going to try to avoid using a lot of big words, technical terms, just keep it really simple. And so the basic things to remember are light is photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is energy. Energy is then put into leaves, roots, flowers, and fruit. So if water is hydration, light is calories for a plant. You can use slower amounts of or lesser amounts of light. It can get you slow growth. You might have yellow leaves. You can have weak plants. That's generally an indication of a weak or a bad light. And honestly, light is 80% of the problems if you're just starting off indoors, not having a proper grow light, having a grow light that's too far away from the plant. There's a bunch of different things. You don't need expensive lights. Tons of options out there that are in the $10 to $20 range. Great options if you're willing to spend a little bit more, which we'll talk about. And you just basically need to follow just a few simple rules, which we'll talk about. So one thing I wanted to just do a quick reminder of, we do have the free setup guide if you're just getting going. And that is, one second to find it here. Okay, here it is. This is a free indoor garden setup guide. It's going to have step-by-step things to buy, things you want to assemble, and then approximate growing as well. Really easy to use. It's going to be a great resource if you're just starting off, you're not really sure how to get going. So go ahead and give that a scan, check it out, and that's going to give you a great jumping off point. So LED actually means light emitting diode. It's a technology, generally speaking, but there's a wide range of quality out there for different lights. So the light is produced by glowing light emitting diodes. And sunlight is obviously the best thing you could possibly get, but often obviously unavailable indoors. Maybe you can get some a little indirect light at the summertime, or even in the winter time when the light reaches deep inside of your home. You might get a little extra light there. Historically speaking, most people will be familiar with fluorescent bulbs. Those are older, weaker, they're much less efficient, and they also generate waste heat, which could burn plants, which is never a good thing. The nice thing about the LEDs is that they're efficient, controllable. They definitely last a long time. I have some lights that are warranted for over 10 years, and they're very energy efficient. So LEDs are really great for indoor growing because they have less heat, low power use. You can target plant useful light if you're able to calibrate the LEDs themselves. But one thing you just really need to note, a common myth, all LED grow lights are good. That's absolutely false. There is a lot of different ones out there, and the LED grow lights is definitely the vehicle. Now let's talk a little bit about what actually happens inside the vehicle of those lights. And that's really about PPFD, or photosynthetic photon flux density, and lumens. So the way to think about this in simple terms is lumens are for humans. That's the light that we can really see. The PPFD is for plants. That's light that they can get energy from. Sometimes that overlaps, sometimes it doesn't. So most people see a bright light and they assume that's probably good for plants. It's not always the case though, because even if it seems bright in your eyes, it may not actually be usable light to plant leaves. So plants don't really see brightness, they measure the photons. Yeah, another way to look at that is lumens. It could be something similar to how loud music sounds, whereas the PPFD would be whether or not you understand the words of the music. Very different meaning overall. So you want to compare lumens if you're looking at lights in a store. For example, household lighting. Common things you would do as a homeowner, maybe not growing food indoors, but lumens actually don't matter that much when you're growing food. What you want to look for is PPFD ranges. So lower range would be 100 to 400. Medium range would be 400 to 600. Fruiting plants require a lot more energy, so you need higher intensity of light. So that's going to be 600 to 1,000. But important point to note here, if you have a pretty powerful light and it's got a lot of intense energy, then you probably don't need to really to measure it or to do anything to actually understand the basics of it. For example, we do have actually we've got a nice little app that we can recommend to you. It's called the Plantin app, PLANTIN, and it allows you to measure the frequency and the intensity of the light. So you're able to get a sense of whether or not this light is actually going to be helpful for your plants. And okay, here's the app right there. It's called PLANTIN. It's a monitoring app. It's going to help with watering. It's going to help with troubleshooting plants. It has different kinds of analysis software built into it. And we've got a free 30-day trial for it. If you just use PLNTHQ1, you put in that QR code as you're signing up, so you can give that a scan, PLNTHQ1, and that's going to help you out. So you've got a couple different options if you're troubleshooting and you're trying to figure out whether or not you have enough light, the light is intense, or if you need extra light, for example, to grow better. Let's talk about some basics of the spectrum. So plants don't need pretty light, they need useful light. The spectrum is basically color energy. So blue shifts you towards leafy growth. So the beginnings of a plant, say a tomato plant, as it's building up the actual body of the plant itself. Red intensity is good for flowering and fruiting. White is really balanced growth between the two of them. And a lot of modern LED grow lights, you'll notice it's not blue, it's not red, it's right in the middle. It's that nice white that we're usually accustomed to. Now, in the past, you would see interesting lights like purple. Now, those were necessary because the fluorescent lights really didn't have the right mix of the blue and the red, and to get a white light that would be useful. So they would produce purple that would kind of fill in the gap there. We don't need that anymore. Modern LED grow lights are extremely energy efficient and they get great results, whether or not it's a green, an herb, or a fruiting plant. So lots of different things you could use it for. And this is really great for beginners. So you don't need anything particularly fancy. You can get really good, efficient LED grow lights very cheaply. And another thing that's a common myth as people are starting off, maybe they were looking at some old posts on Reddit, or maybe somebody had a blog from some time back. You don't need different lights for each plant stage. There is a certain amount of optimization you could do if you really wanted to increase tomato production. At that stage of the plant's life, you could dial basil production, like the leafy production of basil. You could dial that in with certain types of frequencies. But for us regular people growing indoors, we can grow so much with just standard lights. You don't really need all that stuff. So now that you know what plants need, let's talk about what not to fall for when you're looking for your next LED grow light. Common things to watch out for. Obviously, Amazon is a great place to shop for these kinds of devices. You'll find hundreds or thousands of varieties of those lights out there. Not many are made in the US or Western countries. A good variety of them are going to be made in China. One thing to watch out for: the 1,000 watt, what's called equivalent. That is not, it's not exactly 1,000 watts. So you want to watch out for that. The best way to understand it is the wattage. So what comes from the wall is really what matters, because you're changing that watts into plant growth using the PPFD. So they'll use an equivalency claim. That's often not the case because it's drawing very little power. Something that you can watch out for. If it doesn't have specific PPFD data, then it's unlikely that it's really going to be as good of a light as you might want it to be. So the wattage draw, generally speaking, 50 watts is kind of the minimum for most kinds of lights you would find on Amazon for greens and herbs. And I would say 100 plus watts is a good minimum for your tomatoes, cucumbers, your fruiting plants, basically. So I look for charts and this specifications. Remember that easy scale that we talked about for PPFD. And once you know this, you'll probably never get tricked. It's common for people that may have been using houseplants. They might use those little thin grow lights, and they'll try to put those over a seedling and realize the light is way too weak to actually do much. But it is a great learning experience. You can always use a bunch of those together. Let's say you had 4 10-watt lights or 5 10-watt lights. You could put those into a shelving unit, turn those on, and you'd be able to grow greens or seedlings, no problem. So if you're looking for potential benefits of types of things to grow, we do have a quick mature all-in-one package of. So these are different kinds of garden variety greens and herbs. These you can drop into a hydroponic system or a soil-based system. They're going to grow in 30, 35, 40 days or so. Hydroponics is typically 30 days. You're going to be harvesting them super quick. The only thing better than having a fast variety grower like what you have in this package here would be to get the seedlings on your own. So if you happen to be in the Baltimore or Washington, D.C. area, greater Washington, D.C. area, we do have community growers. Like myself, we bring packages of seedlings to our events. You can get a free package of seedlings if you join the event and buy a system. We've got a wide range of systems that are available to you. You can choose whatever system you like, order that during the event. It's going to be shipped probably 1 or 2 days. Take a box of seedlings home with you, and then you just pop those seedlings into the system, and you're typically harvesting within a week. It's that easy. And we pre-grow everything. You've got all different kinds of greens and herbs, things you've never tasted before and never heard of. It really makes putting together a salad for your family pretty exciting. Works in any kind of hydroponic soil-based system. If you happen to have an old box system like an Aero Garden, Aero Grow sitting around at home, haven't used it, we can get you started with that again. Just bring that to the event, grab a seedling bundle, take it home. You will get nutrients to go along with that as well, and then you can start growing right away. So lots of great ways to do this. check out this seedling bundle right here. And very efficient growing indoors with these bundles, because you're really only going to plant exactly the seeds that you want. Sometimes if you're growing outdoors, you'll drop some seeds, they will fly away in the wind. You could fumble them and drop them on the ground. You never have that problem indoors, because you can always plant exactly what you want. You can plant them in advance. You can transplant them into a system. It's just a very different kind of growing. So lots of cool stuff out there. Lots of great ways of growing food for yourself. Clean, fresh food for your family year round, 12 months out of the year. No limitations really at all. And happy that you could join us. So let's jump into how far should your light be? So one thing to keep in mind, distance controls the intensity more than the power. So you can give you an idea here. I've actually got our system that we've been growing with for the past, this is going on 3 weeks. So this is actually a Mufka system. You can see this is arugula, just grown straight up out of the system and just taken off. So definitely need to harvest here, but this is a nice fresh one to harvest. All I have to do is just chop off the branches over here, maybe chop them up, throw them with a little bit of lemon or lime, and it really makes it really easy to grow. Got some basil plants here. You'll notice that the basil plants are a little small, and that's because they take longer to grow. And this arugula has jumped up so high that it's kind of blocking the light for them. So once these plants start to get up higher, you want to make sure the light's maybe about up to here. Now, when they're seedlings, let's imagine like this is the seedling at the top right there, like this part right here. You want to keep it super close to the top, right there. That light, these lights are not that bright, so you really want to make sure you get them right close to those plants so that you're growing successfully. So keep them close to ceilings. Greens and herbs, you can back them out. Fruiting plants, typically using larger systems, so you're going to be able to actually bring that light even further up. So if the lights are too far, what you'll experience is leggy plants. If they're too close, you could have burned leaves. It doesn't happen that much with the LED grow lights, mostly because they're just not that hot. But if you have a good strong grow light, you could experience that. So seedlings, keep them close, gentle. Herbs and greens, back them up a little bit. And the fruiting plants, you can even have a nice big strong light even further away, and they're going to do great. So moving right along here, we're now at the stage where we are actually going to take some questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the chat. It could be, we will be on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you pop a question in the chat, we'll be happy to answer it. Even if you're watching this months later, go ahead and pop a question in there. We'll jump in, help you out, no problem. It's what we're here for. We really want you to experience all of the benefits of growing food indoors. And we'd love to see an example of your system. What are you growing? What kinds of greens? What have you had success with? What haven't you had success with? So we can help you out. You can share all of that with hashtag #MyIndoorFoodGarden on any of the social channels, and we'll be able to pick up what you're sharing, and we will actually highlight it in one of our ongoing segments, which is to feature a user. Pretty nice thing. It's exciting to see what people are doing. And in this week, we actually have a account. It's called _gardening indoors on Instagram. So this user is actually growing dwarf cucumbers indoors in very small pots. These dwarf sized plants, keep in mind you got a good strong light, maybe 100 watts. They're going to be able to grow a lot of things completely out of a season that you might expect. So this user is growing a really tiny cucumber. You'll see she shows it in just a second there. You can see it in the upper right, and then she spins it around. You'll see a couple of them in there. They're very small. These are going to be snacking cucumbers. You want to eat them a little bit smaller than you might expect from, say, a larger outdoor cucumber that they would grow in the summer. And that's because they will get bitter if they are growing a long time. They can grow in soil or hydroponics.
I would say 3 gallon size containers probably the best option for these types of cucumbers. That system that she has right next to her there, that on the right, that looks like about a 3 gallon size container. You want to add nutrients. So if you are using nutrients in a hydroponic system, go ahead and reserve those on the side, water them down a little bit, and then feed them to your cucumber plants or your tomato plants, whatever you might be growing indoors. But she has tons of nice stuff on her channel. Great one to follow, great one to see about growing indoors. It looks like she's growing in a pretty dense urban area, which is really the promise of this technology. Because you can grow up to 75 pounds of greens, herbs, and fruiting plants in a very tiny space, are able to unlock all kinds of food production capability, and it's only going to get better in the future. Eventually, we will have services like community grower service in all communities. You'll have someone there to help you with this process or potentially do all of it for you. So you can have it done year round, which is really exciting. As part of that, let's jump over, check out our seedling bundles. So if you happen to have came to our December event, you would have seen our seedling bundles, which were available at the time. It's really just a good mix. You can take these seedlings out and you can pop them into a system. Let me grab my system over here just as a good demonstration. So the seedling bundle, the seedling will come in a small plug, and then you can pop it into a system like this, and then it will start putting down roots and it will grow right away. Super easy to do. It saves on average 30 days or more of growing time. So you're going to be harvesting very quickly as you're growing, and it makes it really, really easy to get going. Most people actually they don't like to wait. They want to get started right away. They don't want to deal with the complexity of growing the seedlings and making sure it all happens. So we've got this really great option, which is to pre-grow the seedlings for you. So as I said before, that is available in greater Washington, D.C. and Baltimore areas. And I'm just going to put our little QR code up here. So if you happen to be in the area and you are interested in purchasing one of the seedling bundles, go ahead and give that a scan, or you could also head to indoorgardenmarket.com and you could reach out that way too. Happy to help you out. So save 30 days if you're using a seedling bundle to get started. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been a really fun year. We've taught thousands of people to grow food indoors. We're almost to the end of the year, as well as the end of our Planter Grow Nights. We have exciting events coming up for you next year, lots of them. We are on Meetup, we are on Eventbrite, we have local events, we're on LinkedIn. We try to be out as much as possible and to help people get started. Free training program is up there at the very top on the right-hand side. You can head over to Indoor Garden Market to sign up for that as well. And our next Planter Grow Night is going to be on Saturday, December 20th, and that will be 8 p.m. How to grow food in a small apartment. We're going to focus on just the basics, tiny space, big harvest. So if you have 2 to 4 square feet of space, about the same size space as a coffee table, how much can you practically grow in that space? And what's the complexity involved? We're going to break that down for you in that next Planter Grow Night. Be sure to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, all of those areas. Indoor Garden Market is the keywords there. And we'd really love to hear from you. Share what you're growing with hashtag #MyIndoorFoodGarden. Lots of awesome things coming up. If you are in the holiday season now, happy holidays to you. If you're viewing this sometime in the future and it's not the holidays, I wish you a happy growing season, because indoor growing is truly all year, all season, 12 months out of the year. So you can grow anytime. And if you need help to get started, we're here to help you out. Just head over to indoorgardenmarket.com and sign up for the free training program. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.